welcome to Home with Sarah Jane. Today
So I started editing this video and I remember thinking, wow, you're doing really great today. You filmed this video today. You're going to edit it today. You're on it. You're doing so great. And then I start editing and I realized my shirt is inside out during this whole video and I can't stop staring at it. And it's really bothering me. But yeah, I'm just going to have to accept it, except that my shirt is inside out for 20 plus minutes.
Today I wanted to share our November morning basket. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a homeschooling mom to two girls, ages 13 and 10. They're in the 8th and 5th grade, and we have been homeschooling the past 9 years. So today I want to share our November morning basket, and this one was a tricky one for me to kind of put together. November is an extremely busy time for us. So I have to be careful on what my expectations are during our morning basket, because I could sit here and plan all day and have this wonderful, big, beautiful basket and then get to, a fourth of it. So I want to be careful and just have realistic expectations for this month. I'm sure it's busy for a lot of people. But for us, we just have a lot of doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, Thanksgiving. We're going to be taking a week off for Thanksgiving. So it's even a shorter month for us to get this work done. So I like to theme our morning baskets, and I did theme this one, and it does have two different themes. So the themes that I went with for November is going to be farming and Native Americans. So we normally do, Thanksgiving, and that's just what our November baskets has been every single year for, 8 years. 8 of our 9 years of homeschooling, it's been a Thanksgiving themed basket. But I wanted to kind of branch out. So we also usually do some kind of Native American unit study at least one time during our school years. But I couldn't find time to really get a good one in. So I decided to just use some picture books that you'll be seeing as well, to kind of just, bulk up this basket a little bit and still getting what I want out of this homeschooling time. So the first thing I did was I printed out my schedule for my morning basket. It has a little calendar. It has what I plan on doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because our morning basket on Friday is much different than Monday through Thursday. And it also has, what I plan on doing next month, so that if I finish anything early, I could just move straight into what next month, what I plan on doing for next month in December. So I'm going to go through these books kind of quickly because I did share these in another video, and these are just our November books, or, kind of like fall Thanksgiving books that I read every single year. So no matter what, I will read these books to my kids. So we have Cranberry Thanksgiving, The Best Thanksgiving Ever, Thank You, Sarah. Yeah, for a minute I couldn't remember the title. Thank You, Sarah, the Woman Who Saved Thanksgiving. A Turkey for Thanksgiving. Run, Turkey, Run. Bad Kitty Does Not Like Thanksgiving. Pete the Cat, The First Thanksgiving. There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Turkey. Turkey Trouble. Sweet Dream Pie. Stregonona's Harvest. And In November. So those are the books that I just read every November. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what our theme is. Those get read. And they usually get read during our morning basket time. So now for our theme, farming and food, I purchased Gather Round's Farming and Food Unit Study. Now, I didn't print out the entire teacher's guide. I just printed out the worksheets that I plan on using. Because this is for a morning basket, we're not using this fully the way that it's intended. So this can be apparently like a full curriculum, and all you would have to do is add math. Well, we're not using it that way. This is just for morning basket. but I love that it talks about so many different types of farming. So that's what I really wanted to get across to my kids this month, is I just thought it would be fun to tie in with Thanksgiving, because it's kind of like, where does your food come from? And, you know, you celebrate Thanksgiving with a huge meal. I thought it would tie in really well. And honestly, there's some of these farms that I have no clue, you know, how they work or anything like that. So I just thought that this would be a great like spine for our morning basket, where we'll just do like 1 or 2 of these lessons a day and just learn about different farms. So to go with this farming unit, the books that I chose, because I wanted to keep it, again, I wanted to keep it a little bit simple. I added in, and we will not read this book fully, we'll just pick out some stuff from this book, but this is food anatomy. So we'll be going through parts of this book to go with our farming and food. And then we will also be using farm anatomy, the curious parts and pieces of country life. Again, we will only pick out certain things from this book. These books are beautiful books. I mean, I kind of feel like if you are a homeschooler, you've seen these books around. There's quite a few different ones, I believe. I think there's like, what, 4 or 5 of them? And then for just like quick read out louds, I decided to add in Who is Johnny Appleseed. This only came because, you know, apples fall. So that's why this one got added in. And then again, this one is a short read. We read these like Who Was books in like 2 or 3 days. I also wanted to add in Strawberry Girl. I have never read this book, and it's been on my reading list for about 4 years now, and we just never got to it. So I added this one in for our farming and food. And I mean, it's a decent sized book. It's nothing too much. I think it's just under 200 pages. Yeah, it's 193 pages. There are a few pictures, like little pictures in this book. And this book is about, it says, strawberries, big, ripe, and juicy. 10-year-old Bertie Boyer can hardly wait to start picking them, but her family has just moved to the Florida backwoods, and they haven't even begun their planting. Don't count your biddies before they're hatched. So this is about a little girl and her family moving and having to restart their planting and farm and stuff like that. Again, I've never read it, and it has been on my list for a while, so I'm really excited to get to this one. And then the next one I added for our farming unit study is The Corn Grows Ripe. So this one is really short. We did try and read this book a couple of years ago, and we just we didn't finish it. That happens sometimes, but it wasn't because we didn't like it. It's just we got busy and other things ended up becoming more important to us, I guess you can say. So this book never got finished. So I thought it would be great to add this one into our morning basket for November to go with farming, because this is about a little boy whose father gets injured, and this boy has to go and do all of the like corn harvest and planting and farming so that his family could, you know, continue to eat. So I just thought that this would be a really good one to add in here. Now these next few books are just a couple of like picture books, cute little, you know, children's stories. But these I all picked up at a used bookstore, so they were only 50 cents. But the first one is called Farming. And again, this is just something we'll read in like a day, not even a full day. The Vegetables We Eat. And this is about the groups of vegetables and how they're categorized and things like that. And then this last one that I have for this is The Year at Maple Hill. And this one says, I've never read this one, but this one says, in January, the cows stay in the barnyard and the chickens don't lay many eggs. By March, you can tell spring is coming. The barn is filled with baby animals. Month by month, the animals at Maple Hill Farm sense the changing seasons and respond to those changes. So this is basically like a year in the life of a farm. I'm trying to turn these pages and I can't. This one looks like a really cute book. I'm excited to read this one. Now, For our book and a movie pick, so I do have a video about the book and movie choices that we made for our read out louds this year. I will link that in the description box. But we chose The Indian in the Cupboard for November. I've never read the book, but I have seen the movie. My kids have never read the book or seen the movie. So I just thought that this would be a perfect one for November. I don't know why I showed you this book that way. That was weird, huh? Anyway, it's just a regular chapter book. That was a weird, I don't know why I did that. But yeah, The Indian in the Cupboard. Now, by the way, for our Native American kind of part of this basket, I didn't want to go into a lot of like long books or huge unit studies. Again, we have done that the past 8 years, and I'm going to take it a little bit easy this month and for our Native American unit study. But I wanted to share what I used last year. Last year, I used Native American history for kids with 21 activities. I really enjoyed this book. I felt like for my kids being older, last year they were in 4th grade and 7th grade, I felt that this was a good fit. There was a certain part in this book that talked about some things that happened to Native American women that may be uncomfortable to teach to younger children. I just wanted to kind of let that be known. It was a small section in here. It didn't go into a lot of detail, but it did cause questions in my kids about what that meant. So there's that, but again, just read through it, see if you notice the part, see if it's something that you're comfortable with talking about. For me, I don't mind having those conversations with my kids. It was more about like a medical procedure, that was done to women, Native American women, but it was such a small section that you can even skip over it if you feel that it's something you don't want to share with your children. But I did want to make it known in case, you know, you're like me where you're just reading it and all of a sudden you read it and you're like, oh, now I have to explain that. So, yeah, I mean, obviously it is Native American history. A lot of it's uncomfortable. So especially when it comes to the treatment, the unfair treatment of people in general. But again, just read this one if you're interested and see if it's something that you feel would be good for your kids. I didn't mind it at all. Again, I just wanted to mention that there was one part that I did have to, it was literally like 2 sentences long that I needed to explain to my kids something that might make some people uncomfortable. So there's that. Now, I wanted to use more picture books for our Native American unit or unit study. I guess it's just more like reading Native American stories. But the first one is Native American Indians. These are books that we are just going to be reading 1 or 2 a day until we are done with them. Annie and the Old One. This one, I can't remember what this one was about. I want to say it's Navajo. Yeah, so it's basically about this young girl and her grandmother, I believe. Dancing with the Indians. This one I've never read before. It says a young girl in the 1930s joins her family on an outing to a Native American powwow. They plan to dance with the Native Americans whose ancestors rescued Grandpa from slavery and accepted him as their brother. Oh, this one sounds like a really good book. But I've never read it. I decided to go ahead and add it in. Again, I buy a lot of used books for only 50 cents. So that's how I end up with like a stack to share with you guys. This one is Hiawatha. I can't say it. Hiawatha? How do you say this? Hiawatha? Okay. I don't know how to say that, but this is the book. So this one is about a legendary Native American leader and how his grandmother raised him and taught him the names of the stars and the language of the animals. Now this next one we've used a couple of times. This is Sequoia, and this is the Cherokee man who gave his people writing. So like I said, we've read this a few times. My kids do enjoy this book. And I just find it really interesting how just this man took years to create a writing for his people. I can't open it right. There we go. Now this one, again, it's just because it has to do with Native Americans. It has nothing to do with like Thanksgiving or anything, but this is the Trail of Tears. We did read a way more in-depth book about the Trail of Tears. But again, I'm trying to keep it light this month. So we're reading this kind of like beginning reader's version of the Trail of Tears. We will also be reading the Navajo Long Walk, the tragic story of a proud people's forced march from their homeland. And this one, I liked how the pictures kind of were in this one. I thought they were very beautiful. This one is called One Small Blue Bead. This is another new one for us this year. This one says, though only boy shares his dream, the old man leaves the tribe to search for what the world may hold. Boy does the old man's work in his absence and watches hopefully for his return. Oh, it's a nice picture. Now, these next two were some of my favorite books from when I was a kid. And the first one is The Legend of the Blue Bonnet. I loved this book growing up. I don't know why. I mean, it's a good story. So, it's basically about teaching the concept of like unselfishness, I guess you can say. It's about how this little girl gives up like her prized possession. But it's a very sweet story. And again, this is just one that I loved growing up. I mean, I always find some excuse to read this book to my kids like every year. So now it's back in a morning basket. Another one that I used to really enjoy as well is The Legend of the Indian Paintbrush. You could even see same author, but I used to love this one as well. It's about how little Gopher becomes a man. And it's the tale of his strength and perseverance and obedience. But it's just a really beautiful story as well. And then this one is The Gift of the Sacred Dog. We've read this one before as well. When we did our Native American unit study last year, I believe. And this was also a very good book. I want to say this was the one about horses. It says, the boy had never seen any animal so magnificent. There was thunder in its nostrils and lightning in its red legs. Its eyes shone like stars, and the red hair on its neck and tail trailed like clouds. I believe this is how they ended up getting the horse and using horses. I believe that's the story of this one. Or did I say that right? Hopefully I did. This one is called The Rough-Faced Girl. This one was kind of sad. I don't think I've ever read this to my kids, though. I think I've read this multiple times, but my kids have never heard it. This one is about how this girl is mistreated, and she has, like, some markings on her face. And so she doesn't come off as, like, beautiful. And her sisters try to impress the invisible man, the one that, you know, all the women want to marry. And their attitudes and things like that make it to where they can't see him. Only his, like, true, you know, soulmate can see him. I'm explaining this terribly. But so her sisters who mistreat her go to try and win him over, the invisible man over, and they can't see him. So they get turned away. Well, this girl gets dressed up, and what I mean by dressed up is she's wearing old shoes and rags, but the prettiest that she has. and she goes to see this invisible man to try and marry him, and she can see him. So she ends up, you know, marrying this man. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at explaining this one, but it is a good story. Again, I do like the idea behind it. And then just because it is November, I didn't want to leave like Thanksgiving out completely. So I did add in what was the first Thanksgiving. We have read this book probably the last 3 years in a row, 2 years in a row. But again, because I'm not doing much for Thanksgiving other than a couple of picture books, I decided to go ahead and add this one in again. And again, like I said, these types of books only take us a couple of days to read. And then this I wanted to add in our morning basket just for fun. We were doing, I forgot what they're called, riddles. We were doing riddles, and we finished up our riddles. Just a minute, baby. We did finish up our riddles. This is Would You Rather, and it's Thanksgiving edition. So I just thought that this would be a lot of fun to just add into our basket. And you know, the Would You Rathers are like, would you rather wear a belt on your hat or a hat around your waist? You know, just silly, you know, what would you rather do type of stuff. And then I did get some Thanksgiving Mad Libs, Gobble Gobble Mad Libs. We like to work on these just to create silly stories. Now the last few things are just things that we always have in our basket. Okay, sorry about that. My daughter needed me. Where was I? Oh, so the last few things that I have in our basket are things that we usually have every month that you will see over and over again. The first thing is the well-being from Studies Weekly. We have still been working on these, one every Friday. And I do really like these because it just talks about a different, you know, topic every week about well-being. So one of the ones that we'll be doing is asking for help. And how you could get like anxiety about asking for help and things like that. I just think that they do a good job with starting up some really great conversations between me and my kids. So again, this is something that we use every Friday, and this was through Studies Weekly. Now, for, what is this? For music, we're still going through A Child's Introduction to the Orchestra. Now, I know that my kids are older, 5th and 8th grade, but I still really enjoy the simplicity of this book. We are going to be going over the Romantic era for the month. So what I'll do is we will just read a little bit from or about the Romantic era. And then we will go through and learn about different composers from that time. And we will just listen to it, read some short biographies, and we just spend the month learning in a really simple way. Like music will probably only take us, I don't know, maybe like 15 minutes at most. And then we'll just play the music throughout the month, like behind read out loud time or, you know, some of our schoolwork time. And we just make it really simple. My kids do both play an instrument though, so that's another way that we add music on. So my oldest plays piano, my youngest plays the recorder. And then we are still studying poetry. I am still using A Child's Introduction to Poetry with them. We put this in last month, but we just didn't have enough time to go through all of what I wanted to because we do only do this on Fridays. So I needed a little bit more time, so I went ahead and added this into November's morning basket as well. Sometimes we'll do like little poetry tea times with this. I just want to kind of show you that it goes over, you know, different poems. Gathering a Story of Heroes. Yeah. So it goes over different poems. It goes over the sonnet, you know, so it gives you enough, I feel. So, and it also has like tracks that you can play as well. Like if you look at this one here, you can go here and just listen to what it has to say. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it does. Okay. And then the last thing that we're going to be using in our morning basket is for art. And we are still working out of 13 art movements children should know. And we're going to be working through the Baroque era. Honestly, I had no clue that the Baroque era had anything to do with art. I thought it was just music, but I guess it's a good thing we're doing this so that I'm learning as well. But so all we'll do is we will read about the Baroque era, and then we will study some of the artists from that time. Again, by just reading short biographies or just little pieces from like the internet, like from Google or something. You know, I just like to keep it really simple when it comes to art as well. My kids do a lot of arts and crafts, and you know, I'm just not that worried about it. We've been studying artists for, this is our 9th year. So I just really wanted something simple this year to just make it easy. I try not to spend more than, again, 15-20 minutes on art on a Friday. So yeah, I wanted to kind of give us a little bit of a break this year. I did forget to mention that with this unit study, I'm not sure if this is actually part of it or not, so it may be in here, it may not. But for our activity, because we do like a special activity or craft with every morning basket, with this one, I plan on having my kids budget, plan, and cook an entire meal once a week. So that means 2 times a week, my kids will be covering dinner. So, which is kind of nice for me as well. But I actually want them to do the planning of the meal. So they choose the meal, they plan it out, they write their ingredient list, they budget out how much they think it's going to cost opposed to how much it will. Obviously, my husband and I will still pay for the food. And then we will go to the grocery store, and my kids have to shop for the items for dinner. And I just really want them to get that, like, what would you call that? Like life skill, you know, to just really understand what it takes to go into just preparing one dinner, or just what it takes to pay for a meal. So that's going to be like our big project to go with this morning basket. Again, I mean, I guess I could pick a breakfast or a lunch. I didn't really like decide, but I just thought dinner would be easier to like map out and plan and prep for. But yeah, so that's like our big project to go with this. So I think I covered everything. Oh, I did want to mention, I used to add games to our morning basket all the time, but I found that we just played games all the time. So I didn't really need to add it to my morning basket, because sometimes we'll just play games after our morning basket time's over just for fun. So I didn't feel the need to have to add them in to this basket. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section. You have a great day. Bye.